What's up, everybody? It's your boy Kenneth, Mr. Smellgood 803. We're back here with another video today. Today's video is going to be just a little different. I wanted to start a series called Fragrance 101 because I just wanted to address some things that, most people have been asking me offline and online just about fragrances, and I wanted to kind of help make the fragrance world a little bit more accessible to everybody here on the channel. So we're going to be talking about, maybe different terminologies, things of that nature, to just, help you as a regular person, maybe not a frag head, become just a little bit more comfortable with learning more about fragrances. So this is going to be the first part of our Fragrance 101 series. Now, before we get that started, just want to let you know I'm thankful for everybody who's been coming by the channel. Your likes and your subscriptions, they mean a lot to me. Make sure that if you have not subscribed yet, please subscribe and also hit that notification bell. That way you get alerted to every piece of new content that I put out. Like, comment, share, means a lot to me. And if this is your first time coming by and watching one of the videos, thank you for stopping by, and I hope there's some content you like and you come back for some more. Okay? Now, fragrances. They are a lovely thing. I fell in love with fragrances, long time ago, but I really didn't become a collector until, maybe about 5-6 years ago, when I really started getting heavy into collecting fragrances. And it was a little intimidating because, I had a really small circle of knowledge about fragrances, but by coming on YouTube and watching different reviewers, I really started learning more about fragrances, and then my passion for collecting fragrances began to grow. Now, you may not really have the same type of passion that I may have for collecting fragrances, but I'm hoping that some of the information that I share may just help you with some of your decision buying when you go out here and you buy your fragrances. It may help you kind of break out of the box a little bit more when you choose your fragrances, and maybe even help you with understanding how to even use your fragrances better so you can get better results from your fragrances, okay? Now, the first topic that I gotta start off with is how many sprays you are using for your fragrances, okay? This is one of the first rules of your fragrance journey. Whether you're a collector or whether you just have a couple of bottles sitting on your nightstand, overspraying is the enemy of your fragrance, because it is the enemy of you. Because you are walking around here smelling like the whole perfume shop, choking everybody out. So let's start right there with talking about how many sprays is really appropriate for you to use, okay? Now, for example, I'm gonna use this fragrance right here. This is from English Laundry. This is Oxford Blue. This is their Eau de Parfum version of this particular fragrance. So it actually only comes in one particular concentration of Eau de Parfum concentration. And we're gonna get to that in just a minute. But let's just talk about how many sprays that we're using, okay? Now, my rule of thumb generally is we're gonna hit once on the side, once on that side, maybe one on your shirt, and then one to the back of the head or the neck area. And this is for your scent trail, or what we call the sillage. Okay, this is what's going to give you that impression when you walk by someone. Fellas, you know what I'm talking about, when you walk past that, that person and they just, that's sillage. Okay, so that's why we put one on the back of the neck area to help with that. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4. That was 4 sprays. And really, depending on the time of year, you may not even need that much. And depending on the concentration of your fragrance, you may not even need that much. But for a general rule of thumb, 4 sprays is usually more than enough. Now, ladies, it can be a little bit different for you guys because your fragrances being more floral, sometimes more fruity. Sometimes you may hit your pulse points, such as here on the inside of the elbow area, maybe around the wrist area. Gentlemen, you may use, in the wrist area too. That when you go to shake someone's hand or, something like that, that fragrance can waft up to that person's nose. but it's not going to be in an overpowering way. One of the biggest things that I never understood was when someone sprayed a fragrance and they started doing this number here. You are essentially drying your fragrance out as soon as you start rubbing your arms together with that fragrance. A fragrance has, generally speaking, a top, middle, and bass. Think about it as your music pyramid, right? Soprano, alto, and tenor, right? So those three parts are going to bring your fragrance together. And a fragrance develops over time. So you have your top notes. That's going to be the first thing that you smell when you first spray your fragrance. That's going to last the shortest amount of time in your fragrance is the top note. Normally citruses are going to die out maybe within about an hour or two. And then in your middle notes, you may have florals and things like that. Those are going to be the middle part that lasts just a little bit longer. And then for most fragrances, you have a base of normally some type of amber, vanilla, wood notes. Those are going to last the longest. Those will carry that fragrance through the rest of the duration of how long that fragrance lasts. And every time you start rubbing your arms together and all that stuff, you're automatically transitioning that fragrance into the mid and dry down because you're starting to evaporate your fragrance. So, ladies, gentlemen, if you happen to spray your fragrance on your wrist, please don't do that. Don't do that. Okay? Now, when it comes to overspraying, the main cause of overspraying is usually you say to yourself, I don't smell the fragrance anymore, so I think I need to spray some more. Don't do that, okay? And one of the reasons, the biggest reasons why, is that we can go what we call nose blind to a fragrance, okay? That's because you're wearing the fragrance. You're gonna be the person who smells the fragrance the most. And depending on how your body responds to certain fragrances, your nose can go blind to certain fragrance notes after it smelled it for a certain amount of time, okay? So going nose blind to your fragrance doesn't mean that the fragrance is no longer there. It's just that you personally have gone nose blind to your own fragrance because it's right there at your nose. Okay, so that doesn't mean after 2 hours, I go back and spray 5, 6 more times because, I can't smell it anymore, so I need to smell it. That's gonna be one of the first things that lead to overspraying and you choking out an entire room. Come on, y'all been there before. Y'all been in the office or y'all been at a store or someplace out in public and this person just smells like they just took the whole bottle of fragrance and just dumped them on themselves, okay? And usually we attribute this to the old guy, you know what I'm saying? Insert the Spice Adams, meme right here. That old guy who always wears the juke, the Yoke cologne and just oversprays 15, 20 times your uncle, your granddaddy, maybe even your dad, and they go through a whole 100 ml bottle in like 2 weeks. So they're definitely overspraying, okay? So take it easy, man. Like I said, about 5 sprays is usually gonna be good enough, okay? Now, one of the things that I wanted to just quickly hit on again, like I said, this is not gonna be a long video. We're gonna talk about just the fragrance concentrations. Like I said, this is English Laundry's Oxford Blue. This is an eau de parfum concentration. Normally, the most 4 popular concentrations that you have for fragrances is gonna be cologne, eau de toilette, eau de parfum, and parfum or parfum extrait, okay? Now these 4 are the most popular. You've got some other ones, but mostly when you go to any place and you buy a fragrance, you're gonna see these 4 different concentrations, okay? Now each concentration is only talking about the percentage of fragrance oils that were used to make the fragrance. The rest of your fragrance, of course, is made up of water and alcohol, okay? Now, all eau de toilettes, eau de parfums are not created equal. The quality of the oils that are being used will also have a big determination on how that particular fragrance performs, okay? Now, for the most part, for men, most of our fragrances come in an eau de toilette version, okay? That generally means that you're gonna get about maybe 5 to 6 hours worth of longevity out of this. Sillage or projection usually will be around a moderate area. It's not gonna be, soon as I walk in the room, you can smell me. Sometimes these fragrances sit a little bit closer to the skin. And generally then when you go up or, to your next level, first you got cologne, which is going to be almost like an aftershave almost. Then you've got eau de toilette, which is kind of your standard. Then you have eau de parfum. For most women's fragrances come in eau de parfum. Their fragrances generally last a little bit longer. And then we have the final, which is eau de, the extrait, the parfum, extrait, pure parfum. You're going to find that those are going to be mostly more expensive. Okay, so, and that's going to be because of the percentage of fragrance oils used, and sometimes the quality of the fragrance oils that are being used, which will determine how much more expensive they can be. But for a general rule of thumb, you've got to understand that when you get an eau de toilette, eau de parfum, whatever the case is, that will determine generally how much longer those fragrances last. Like I said, all fragrances are not made equally or created equal. So I can have an eau de toilette that may sometimes last longer than an eau de parfum. Just depends on the blend and how they blended those particular fragrance notes. But in general, an eau de toilette doesn't last long as an eau de parfum. An eau de parfum does not last as long as an parfum extrait or pure parfum. Okay. Great example of that is we've got Rojas Mustache. Okay. This is the eau de parfum. This is the eau de toilette. Now, this one does not last nearly as long as this one. And even sometimes the fragrance itself may change a little bit when you go from one concentration to another. This is a really good example of that. And I'm actually going to be doing a review of these two head to head and what the differences are between the eau de toilette and the eau de parfum. Because honestly speaking, you may prefer the eau de toilette version over the eau de parfum. Okay? So, but these are just some of the things that I wanted to kind of just start bringing up to your attention when it comes to fragrances. And, there are a lot of different things to learn about fragrances in the world of fragrances. So I wanted to start this series to just kind of kickstart conversations for people. If you have questions about fragrance related things, whether we're talking about concentrations, how long something may last, how long something may project, this is what this series is going to be for. But my main thing for this first video was talking about the overspraying and how many sprays generally you should be trying to use when applying your fragrances, okay? Eau de parfums, depending on how long you see that they last on your skin, once again, it's gonna be something that you personally find out how your body chemistry works with a fragrance. And once you start feeling that out, you know how to adjust accordingly, okay? Adjust accordingly. But there really shouldn't be too many times where you should be spraying, more than 6 sprays. You may have a weaker cologne version that doesn't last as long and it doesn't really project as long or as far. So with that one, you may do 2, 2, 2, and maybe 2, 4, 6, 8. So maybe 8 at the most, depending just on the concentration of your fragrance, okay? But look, in the comment section, I want you guys to hit me up. If you've got any questions that you've always wanted to kind of ask when it comes to fragrances and maybe things that you maybe have always wanted to know more about fragrances, this is what this series is going to be for. This is what this channel is for, is trying to make fragrances more accessible to the everyday person, okay? So, be careful with your sprays. Don't spray like the old dude at Cookout that just chokes out the smell of the barbecue because they want to have like 55, sprays because that, and look, they gonna smell me today. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, they gonna like that one. No, we're not. But once again, it's your boy Kenneth, Mr. Smell Good 803, and we're out. Peace.